Let me tell you something that'll change your life. If you grab hold of it, you were not created just to pay bills and die. You were created with a gift, something only you can do the way you do it. Now, here's the problem. Most folks go through life never unwrapping that gift. They let fear, doubt, and the opinions of other people keep it boxed up. And when you live like that, you miss out on the very reason you're here. You were created with a unique gift, something that is stitched into the very fabric of who you are. From the moment you entered this world, you carried within you a seed of greatness, an ability, a talent, or a perspective that no one else can replicate in the exact same way. Too often, people spend their entire lives trying to fit into boxes designed by society, their family, or the opinions of others. And in doing so, they neglect the very gift that makes them extraordinary. The truth is, your gift is not always loud or flashy. It may not look like what others call success, but it is yours. And when you recognize it, nurture it, and walk in it, doors begin to open that you never thought possible. The challenge is that many of us doubt the value of what we carry. We look at others and compare our path to theirs, thinking that if our gift doesn't bring instant recognition or financial success, then it must not be worth much. But comparison is the thief of joy, and it blinds us from seeing the power of what we already possess. Your gift doesn't have to be the same as anyone else's because it wasn't meant to be. Maybe your gift is making people laugh, or maybe it's the ability to listen deeply and give comfort when others are hurting. Maybe you have a gift for solving problems, for leading people, for creating beauty, or for bringing order out of chaos. These things may seem ordinary to you because they come naturally, but that's exactly the sign of a gift. It feels effortless to you while it changes the lives of others. Think about this. A bird doesn't struggle to fly, and a fish doesn't struggle to swim. They were built for it. The same is true for you. When you're moving in your gift, you feel alignment, a sense of purpose that goes beyond just surviving the day. You don't have to force it. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to fight to be someone else. All you have to do is own what was placed inside you and let it shine. That's why denying your gift is one of the greatest mistakes you can make. You weren't put here just to go through the motions, to pay bills, or to live somebody else's dream. You were put here to contribute something only you can give. Now, here's the reality. Your gift will require work. Just because it comes naturally doesn't mean it won't need to be sharpened. You may be born with the seed, but seed still needs soil, water, and sunlight to grow. You'll need discipline, patience, and resilience to develop your gift into something that impacts others. Sometimes people will overlook you, misunderstand you, or even laugh at you, but none of that matters if you stay committed to what you know deep down you were meant to do. In fact, resistance often confirms that you're on the right path because anything worth having will be tested. When you start using your gift, you'll also notice something else: joy. There's a deep satisfaction in doing what you were made to do, a peace that money or status alone can't provide. That joy becomes contagious, inspiring others to step into their own gifts. It creates a ripple effect that goes further than you can see. That's why the world doesn't just want your gift, it needs it. There are people out there who can only be blessed, healed, taught, or inspired by what you have to offer. So don't ignore the quiet voice inside that whispers to you about who you really are. Don't let fear or doubt silence it. Your gift is the compass pointing you toward your destiny. And once you decide to embrace it fully, not only will your life change, but you will also give permission to others to discover the greatness inside themselves. Most people never unwrap their gift. They go through life carrying something powerful inside of them, yet it stays untouched, hidden away like a beautifully wrapped present sitting in the corner of a room. Day after day, they wake up, go to work, follow the same routine, and never take the time to open what was meant to set them apart. The tragedy is not that they didn't have the gift. The tragedy is that they never had the courage, the faith, or the determination to see what was inside. Why does this happen? For many, it's fear. Fear of failing, fear of what others might think, fear of stepping outside the comfort of the known. It's easier to stick to what feels safe than to take the risk of unwrapping that gift and realizing it will demand more of you than you expected. Because once you know what your gift is, you can't ignore it. It calls you to a higher standard. It pulls you away from average and challenges you to become excellent. And excellence, my friend, is uncomfortable. Another reason people never unwrap their gift is comparison. They look at someone else's talent, someone else's success, and decide that theirs isn't big enough or important enough. They think if I can't sing like her, if I can't speak like him, if I can't make money like them, then what I have must not matter. But what they don't realize is that their gift isn't supposed to look like anyone else's. The value of a gift isn't in how flashy it is, but in how true it is to the person carrying it. What comes easily to you might feel impossible to someone else, and what you dismiss as small might be the exact thing someone out there desperately needs. There's also the weight of expectations. Society has a way of boxing people in. You're told to get a job, make money, buy a house, and play it safe. And while there's nothing wrong with stability, the danger is in settling for less than what you were designed for. People bury their gifts under responsibility, under routine, under I'll do it someday. And before they know it, their time is gone. The saddest words you can ever hear from someone are, I wish I had tried. That regret comes from never unwrapping what was theirs all along. When you don't open your gift, you cheat yourself, but you also cheat the world. Think about it. If a doctor never used her gift, lives wouldn't be saved. If an artist never painted, beauty wouldn't be shared. If a leader never led, people wouldn't be guided to their potential. Someone is waiting on your gift. Someone is waiting on the song you haven't sung, the book you haven't written, the business you haven't started, the idea you haven't acted on. Your gift isn't just about you. It's about the people who can only be blessed through what you bring. And here's the hard truth. Life will test you, whether you use your gift or not. You're going to face struggles. You're going to face challenges. So you might as well struggle for something that matters. The pain of discipline is far lighter than the pain of regret. Unwrapping your gift may cost you time, effort, and sacrifice, but not unwrapping it, it will cost you your peace, your joy, and your sense of purpose. Most people leave their gift untouched because they convince themselves there will always be more time, but time isn't guaranteed. Every day you wake up is another chance to discover what's inside of you and let it shine. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for approval. Don't wait until you think you're ready. The gift is already yours. All that's left is for you to tear off the wrapping, step into who you were meant to be, and live a life that leaves no room for regret. Take the leap of faith. Those words sound bold, maybe even reckless, but they hold the key to living a life that's bigger than fear, bigger than doubt, and bigger than the limits you've placed on yourself. The truth is, no one has ever achieved anything worthwhile without stepping into the unknown, waiting until every detail is perfect, until the road is clear, until you've got every resource and every guarantee. That's a trap. If you keep waiting, you'll never move. Life doesn't give guarantees. It gives opportunities, and those opportunities require courage. When you take a leap of faith, you admit that you don't have all the answers. You admit that you don't know exactly how things will turn out. But you also declare that you're not going to let uncertainty chain you to the ground. Faith is believing in what you can't yet see. It's trusting that if you jump, the parachute will open, even if it doesn't happen right away. You might scrape up against the cliff. You might fall harder than you thought, but eventually that parachute will catch the wind and you'll realize you were born to soar. The problem is most people let fear of the fall keep them on the edge. They look down at the valley below and convince themselves that staying on solid ground is safer. But let me tell you, the edge is not safety. It's slow death. Standing on the edge, dreaming about what could be, but never jumping, is how people waste their lives. They die with their dreams still inside them. The graveyard is the richest place on earth because it's filled with unlaunched businesses, unwritten books, unsung songs, and unlived dreams. All because someone never took the leap of faith. Taking a leap doesn't mean being careless. It doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow without a plan. What it means is making a decision to move in the direction of your calling, even when you don't know all the steps. It means applying for the opportunity that scares you. It means starting the project even when your hands are shaking. It means saying yes to growth even when your comfort zone begs you to say no. You'll never be fully ready, and that's okay. Faith isn't about being ready. It's about being willing. The leap will test you. You'll face moments when everything in you wants to give up. People will doubt you. Circumstances will discourage you. And sometimes your own mind will tell you that you're crazy for even trying. But faith is stubborn. Faith says, I don't need to see the whole staircase. I just need to take the next step. Faith doesn't ask for certainty. It asks for trust. And the reward for trusting is growth, resilience, and eventually success. And here's the beautiful part. When you finally leap, you'll discover that you were never alone. Doors will start to open. People will show up to help you. Resources will appear that you didn't even know existed. Things will fall into place in ways you couldn't have planned. That's how faith works. It activates what would have stayed hidden if you never moved. So what are you waiting for? You've been standing on the edge long enough. You've talked about your dreams. You've imagined what it would be like, but imagining is not living. You'll never know what you're truly capable of until you take that leap. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it's uncertain, but so is everything worth doing. Fear will always whisper reasons to stay still, but faith will always shout louder, jump. The leap of faith isn't just about chasing success. It's about stepping into who you were created to be. It's about refusing to settle for less than the life you know deep down you deserve. You can live safe or you can live fulfilled, but you can't have both. So go ahead. Take the leap, trust the unseen, and give yourself permission to fly. Failure is part of success. Those words sound contradictory, but they carry one of the greatest truths about life. Too many people treat failure like it's the end of the road, when in reality, it's just a turn on the path. The only reason failure feels so heavy is because we've been taught to fear it instead of learning from it. But look at anyone who has accomplished anything meaningful, and you'll see a trail of failures behind them. Failure isn't proof that you're not capable. It's proof that you're trying. And the act of trying again and again is what eventually leads to success. The problem is most people quit after the first stumble. They set out to do something new, and the moment it doesn't go as planned, they retreat. They let embarrassment, self-doubt, or the opinions of others convince them that failure is a sign to stop. But here's the truth. Failure is not a dead end. It's a classroom. Every mistake, every setback, every door that closes is a lesson in disguise. If you pay attention, you'll realize that failure isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. It's teaching you what doesn't work so you can get closer to what does. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall countless times, yet nobody ever says, maybe walking just isn't for you. Why? Because falling is understood to be part of the process. Every stumble makes their legs stronger. Every attempt teaches them balance, and eventually they take that first step. The same principle applies to your goals. Falling down doesn't mean you're not meant to walk. It means you're on your way to standing tall. What failure really does is test your commitment. Anybody can stay motivated when things are easy, but what about when things fall apart? That's where character is built. Failure asks you, how bad do you want this? Are you willing to keep going when it hurts? Are you willing to adjust, adapt, and try again? If the answer is yes, then failure becomes fuel instead of a roadblock. The ones who succeed aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to quit no matter how many times they fail. And let's be honest, failure humbles us. It strips away arrogance and teaches us patience. It shows us that success doesn't happen overnight, and that resilience is just as important as talent. If everything worked the first time, you never develop grit. You'd never appreciate the victory because it would come too easy. Failure builds appreciation for success. It teaches you to value the process, not just the prize. The fear of failure keeps more people stuck than failure itself. Some never even try because they're terrified of what might go wrong. But the irony is that avoiding failure is the biggest failure of all. You'll never know how far you could have gone if you don't take the risk. At least when you fail, you gain knowledge, experience, and growth. But when you let fear stop you, you gain nothing but regret. When you look back on your life, you won't remember the times you tried and failed. You'll remember whether you got back up. You'll remember the courage it took to stand in the face of defeat and keep pushing. Every great story of success is really a story of perseverance through failure. The athlete who lost more games than they won before they became a champion. The entrepreneur who went broke before they built an empire. The writer who collected rejections before their words touched the world. Their success wasn't in spite of failure. It was because of it. So don't run from failure. Don't let it shame you, and don't let it stop you. Embrace it as part of the journey. Each failure is shaping you, strengthening you, and guiding you toward the breakthrough you've been working for. The truth is simple. You cannot have success without failure. They're two sides of the same coin. Every time you fail, you're one step closer to getting it right. Failure isn't the opposite of success. Failure is the pathway to success. Walk it boldly, stumble if you must, but keep moving forward, because on the other side of those failures is the life you've been dreaming of. Consistency beats talent. That may sound strange at first because talent is often praised as the key to success. We admire people who seem naturally gifted, the ones who can sing without effort, solve problems with ease, or lead with charisma. But talent alone is not enough. The world is filled with talented people who never reach their potential because they lacked one critical ingredient: consistency. It's not what you can do once that matters. It's what you're willing to do over and over again, day after day, even when nobody is watching. Consistency builds habits, and habits shape your future. Think about the difference between someone who works out intensely one day and then quits for a month versus someone who shows up to exercise 3 times a week no matter what. The second person will always come out ahead, not because they're stronger or faster, but because they're consistent. Effort that is repeated becomes momentum, and momentum is what creates long-term results. Success is rarely about sudden breakthroughs. It's about the quiet grind of showing up every single day. Talent might open the door, but consistency is what keeps you in the room. You can be born with natural ability, but if you don't nurture it, sharpen it, and discipline yourself to use it regularly, that talent will fade. On the other hand, someone with less raw ability but relentless consistency can surpass the one who was more naturally gifted. The student who studies every night will outperform the genius who only studies when they feel like it. The athlete who trains daily will surpass the one who relies on talent alone. Life rewards the ones who keep going. Consistency also builds trust. People may admire talent, but they rely on consistency. If you're talented but unpredictable, people won't count on you. But if you show up, deliver, and keep your word, doors will open. Employers, clients, teammates, and even loved ones value consistency more than occasional brilliance. It's the steady drumbeat, not the occasional fireworks, that earns respect and opportunities. Another truth about consistency is that it compounds. Small actions done regularly stack up into massive results. Writing 1 page a day might not seem like much, but in a year, you'll have a book. Saving a little money each month might feel insignificant, but over time it builds wealth. Practicing your craft for an hour daily may feel slow, but years later you will be a master while others are still waiting for inspiration to strike. Consistency turns ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes because time multiplies what you repeat. But here's the challenge. Consistency is not glamorous. Talent is flashy. It gets attention. Consistency is often boring. It's waking up early, sticking to routines, and doing the work even when you don't feel motivated. It's saying no to distractions, sacrificing comfort, and staying focused when no one is clapping for you. That's why so many people give up. They crave instant results, and when they don't see them, they quit. But consistency teaches patience. It reminds you that progress is invisible at first, but eventually it becomes undeniable. What consistency really proves is discipline. Talent is a gift, but discipline is a choice. When you choose to be consistent, you're saying, I believe in my future enough to put in the work today. That commitment separates dreamers from doers. Plenty of people talk about what they want. Only the consistent ones get there. So don't worry if you don't feel like the most talented person in the room. Don't compare yourself to those who seem naturally gifted. Focus instead on showing up, staying the course, and outlasting the excuses that stop others. Because when talent slacks off, consistency takes the crown. And when talent combines with consistency, that's when greatness is born. At the end of the day, success doesn't go to the person who had the best start. It goes to the person who refused to stop. Be consistent, and you'll not only beat talent, you'll build a life that talent alone could never give you. Faith fuels the journey. Without it, the road ahead feels impossible. But with it, even the steepest climb becomes worth taking. Faith is the quiet voice that tells you to keep going when everything around you screams to quit. It's the anchor that holds you steady when storms rise. And it's the engine that pushes you forward when your strength runs out. Talent can take you far. Consistency can carry you further. But faith is what keeps you alive inside while you're on the journey. Faith is not about having all the answers. It's not about seeing the whole map or knowing exactly how things will unfold. It's about trusting that the step you take today will lead you to where you're supposed to be tomorrow. Too often, people wait until they feel certain before moving, but certainty is an illusion. Life will never give you guarantees. Faith is choosing to walk even when the road is foggy, choosing to believe that there is solid ground ahead even when you can't see it yet. There will be times when everything in your life feels like it's falling apart. The money won't add up. The relationships won't work out. The doors you thought would open will slam in your face. In those moments, skill won't be enough. Hard work won't be enough. What will keep you standing is faith. The belief that setbacks are not the end, that every no is redirecting you to a better yes, and that there is a bigger plan at work even when you can't make sense of it. Faith is also what keeps you from settling. Without faith, you convince yourself that average is all you can have. You play it safe, you shrink your dreams, and you tell yourself not to expect too much. But faith says there is more. You were made for more. Don't stop here. Faith stretches you. It demands that you dream bigger, try harder, and believe beyond what looks possible. And when you live with that kind of belief, you begin to see opportunities that fear would have kept hidden. But faith is not just about wishing. It's about action. It's one thing to say you believe. It's another to step out on that belief. True faith moves your feet. It drives you to apply for the job you're not qualified for, to launch the business when the timing isn't perfect, to speak your truth when your voice is shaking. Faith doesn't wait for everything to line up. It acts and then watches the pieces fall into place. One of the most powerful things about faith is that it multiplies strength. When you believe, you can endure more than you thought you could. You can get knocked down 10 times and still find the courage to get up 11. You can walk through disappointment without becoming bitter. You can take risks without letting fear paralyze you. Faith keeps the fire burning when everything else tries to snuff it out. And here's the beauty of it. Faith is contagious. When you live by faith, others are inspired to do the same. People see your courage, your resilience, your refusal to quit, and they find hope for their own journey. Your faith doesn't just fuel you, it fuels the people watching you. It shows them what's possible when you believe. At the end of the day, every great story of success is also a story of faith. Behind the achievements, behind the breakthroughs, there were moments of doubt, darkness, and difficulty. And in those moments, the only thing that kept the dream alive was faith. That's why faith isn't just a part of the journey. It is the fuel that makes the journey possible. Without it, you starve. With it, you soar. So whatever road you're on, whatever challenge you're facing, hold on to faith. Don't wait until you see the whole picture. Don't wait until everything feels safe. Move forward with trust, because faith will carry you where fear never could, and it will take you further than you ever imagined you could go.